So let's talk about pentatonic scales today. This is like something I have to work with on pretty much all of my students. I think it's really kind of a language for guitar players, and what I mean by that is it's a dialect. You know, you have different dialects of music. You know, a classical guitar player is going to sound different from a blues player, is going to sound different from a jazz player, is going to sound different from a country player. They're all going to sound different. Now, is the instrument the same? Is the same notes? Sure, but they're all going to kind of approach the feel of the instrument a little bit differently, the way they approach the scales a little bit differently, and they're all going to be used in a little bit different respect. Now, pentatonics is pretty much pervasive, whether it's through rock music, blues music, classic rock, country, you name it, jazz. I mean, pentatonics are everywhere. And so I really think they're a hugely important scale for especially new students to get down. So let's talk a little bit about like what is a pentatonic scale. You know, I always see these boxes and shapes, and it drives me nuts because, you know, I was self-taught. If you look at some of my older videos, and even today, I use pentatonics a tremendous amount. I mean, I use them all the time. And it's just because, like I said, it's part of the dialect, it's part of the language that we know as musicians. So when I'm playing guitar, you'll really see it come out a lot, and the different patterns I play, whether it's, you know, these kind of like descending runs or repetitive motions, or, you know, sweeps into pentatonics. Or whether it's for blues, where I'm using these little riffs, you know. So let's talk about what a pentatonic scale is. And to understand that, I think we need to talk a little bit about what a major scale is first. So we'll go ahead and we'll just use C major here. You know, no sharps, no flats. Keeps everything really simple. All right, and for those of us that are not musically inclined yet, there's nothing wrong with that. I wasn't either, as I said, for 12 years, so hopefully this video will, you know, shed some light for some people. So I'll go ahead and I'll start. If anybody doesn't know, the first fret of my B string right here, okay, is concert middle C. Now, for those of us that do read a little bit of music, guitar is a transposed instrument, and when we read sheet music, the C below the staff, this one right here, is actually going to be the C we read as middle C, whereas a piano player would read this as middle C, in case you didn't know that. For those that don't read music, don't worry about that right now. Just know that this is concert middle C. That's the note we're going to be playing. And we're going to go up with a pattern of whole steps and half steps. Now, what the heck is a whole step and a half step? Well, a half step is 1 fret. A whole step is 2 frets. Okay, so the smallest musical interval we have, excluding microtonal stuff, excluding quarter step bends, which are not, you know, exclude them from musical vocabulary because they're a thing, just not so much in our culture, is going to be from here to here. So a C to a C sharp, also known inharmonically as a D flat, okay? I'm not going to go into that right now. We'll leave that for a different video. So the pattern we need to know is whole, whole, half. Whole, 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 half. This creates a major scale, okay? So I'm playing this, it's whole, from my first note from a C, I'm going to go whole step, a half step, a whole step, a whole step, a whole step, and a half step, okay? So if you know do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, okay? You probably heard that from The Sound of Music. If not, it's called solfeggio. It's just another way of singing a music scale rather than going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Now if you notice, the musical scale is exactly divided perfectly in half by whole, whole, half, and then a whole step in between, then whole, whole, half. So if you see, I can play 2 patterns the same way. And then, with only that whole step break in the middle. Or, sorry, messed that up. Okay, so bum, 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 bum. Okay, so that is a major scale. It's got 7 notes in it, followed by the octave. Okay, 7 unique notes followed by the octave. Okay, and an octave is, as you guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, or you can think of it this way, from a physics standpoint. Okay, if my string is vibrating at, I don't remember what a middle C is vibrating at, but let's just say for argument's sake it's 400 hertz, which I know it's not, but we're just going to throw that number out there. Okay, hertz is a measure of cycles per second, how many times the string is vibrating. Okay, so from here, let's say that number is 400, and when I go to the octave, the string will be vibrating at ideally 800 hertz or 800 cycles per second. Okay, I know that's not accurate, but just for concept's sake. Okay, so now that we've taken that into account, let's take a look at what a pentatonic scale is. Okay, Now, my personal thing, so if we know that we have numbers in a scale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, okay, if we know those numbers, okay, those are our 7 notes followed by our octave, okay, we can use a formula to derive where a minor pentatonic scale comes from, okay? Now, this may seem a little crazy to some of you that have never done this before, but I promise you it's much easier once you start, to try and grasp the concept of musical scales and musical notes. If you start thinking of it from a formulaic standpoint, I see so many people trying to say, well, play a pentatonic from this note to get this sound and from this one to get this sound, and it just drives me bananas. I'm like, if you just stop trying to find a shortcut and just think about the music, which does take a long time, it digests much, much slower than a concept such as play this pattern from the 5th fret to get a Lydian sound or whatever. I hear so many things, and I think that has a great attribute for certain people in certain applications, but I really think to get a better foundation of music, you should understand what notes you're playing, why you're playing, and how they work. And so we have our foundation of this musical major scale, right? Which is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, okay? So, and it's divided into whole steps and half steps, which are small musical intervals. So to get our pentatonic scale, we're going to take our root, okay, which is our first scale degree. All right, scale degree just refers to number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. And we're going to go root, okay? Now, with our minor pentatonic, instead of going 1, 2, 3, now penta is a prefix for what? 5, okay? So we're only going to have 5 notes in this scale instead of 7 like we have in the major scale. So the notes in our minor pentatonic scale are going to be root. Now a flat means we're going to go lower by a half step. A flat third, okay? A fourth, a fifth, and a flat 7, and then an octave, okay? So you'll notice, okay? I just played my C minor pentatonic scale. Again, we'll go over that again. It's root, flat third. So if you notice my major third from the C major scale would be C, D, E, 1, D, 3, minor third. So 1, 3, 4, 5, flat 7, octave. You notice 5 tones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, octave, okay? And you can do this from anywhere on the guitar with all the notes. If you realize the notes, once you start learning your fretboard a little bit more, that's why I say it's much easier once you actually learn what you're playing rather than trying to find a pattern on the fretboard. You can play the same thing here, but you're going to start on a different note. If you're going from the lowest portion of the string, you end up with your 4th, your 5th, your flat 7th, your root, and your minor third. So now we have 2 strings with a full octave we can play up and down the fretboard rather than just learning this box and shedding these boxes. Yeah, well, we can all do that as guitar players. It's mechanical. It's not necessarily musical, though. So if I really sit back and start thinking musically about it, I can get some really cool sounds of... And that's got a totally different sound from what we traditionally hear from our minor pentatonic stuff, where we just sit there and, right? Because we're not sticking it in the box. We're giving it a different sound to it, okay? So again, just to reiterate, our pentatonics are going to be root from that major scale, flat third, okay? 4th, which is the same from the major. It's not a flat 4th or anything. It's just the same 4th we have, which is an F from the key of C. 5th, flat 7, instead of the major 7, the B natural, and then to the octave. Now for me, when I'm trying to figure out a pentatonic scale real quick, obviously on guitar, we know we can just move this pattern around here, our second pattern, third pattern, fourth pattern, fifth pattern. You can find that all over. There's 15 billion videos probably on all the patterns of pentatonics and blues scales. So that's really why I'm not touching on that right now, because I don't want to teach you a pattern. I want to teach you how this scale's, derived. The quickest way for me to think of it is a minor 7 chord with an added 4th or an added 11th, however you want to look at it, okay? Well, what do I mean by that? Well, we have major chords and minor chords, so we don't get into that too much, but basically the minor 7 chord, if you notice, has a root, a flat third, a 5th, and a flat 7. Well, what did I say was in our pentatonic? We have a root, a flat third, a 4th, a 5th, and a flat 7. So really all you have to do is just, if you can spell a minor chord, so let's say we're going to do a G minor, okay, well, we have G, B flat, D, F, okay? All right, well, what's our 4th? G, A, B flat, and C. So if I want to play the scale, G, B flat, C, D, F, G, B flat, C, D, F, G, B flat. Hey, look at that, I figured it out just like that. And you can do that from any point on the guitar. It doesn't matter what note you pick, as long as you can figure out your major scale for that key, which is just built off of whole steps and half steps. All you do is you flat the third, flat the seventh, add in the fourth and fifth, and voila, you found a nice vertical progression of a pentatonic scale. So hopefully this helps you out a little bit here, rather than just, okay, how do I play this box, how do I use it? It's not a box, it's a scale with notes in it that are derived from something else. So hope that helps you guys, and give me some feedback, let me know what you think. Thanks.